welcome back to Tequila and Terror. This is episode 11.
Yeah, we just got back drinking a margarita tower with some friends, so
you can see that on our Instagram.
We're pretty toasted right now.
We're pretty happy, guys.
We're going to try to keep these episodes lighter now, because apparently killing babies is not the favorite thing of the internet.
We're awful, and we're desensitized, and we apologize. I think we're going to do the worst.
I just cleaned my ear out on the microphone. Did you hear that?
No, because I'm not wearing headphones.
That was nasty. Ooh, sorry.
What's wrong with you?
But, yeah, I couldn't hear out of my ear, and I thought it was my headphone, but my ear was dirty. But,
you're broken.
Yeah, sorry. We probably shouldn't even be. You're lucky we even got the computer turned on.
Anyways, we're going to try to do the longer, more terrible, serial killery, awful episodes as bonus episodes, so that those who choose not to hear those kind of things can just skip over.
And just listen to them on like Terrible Tuesdays or Thursdays. We haven't picked
or whatever day we decide.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you'll still get your normal us, not as desensitized, awful things on your regular day,
and
Sunday.
We're going back to more no editing like we did for the first 7 episodes. And then I listened to some advice and decided to edit like 8, 9, and 10, and I thought they sucked and turned it into a job, and I wasn't having fun. So.
And Wes is grumpy.
Yeah. So now we're back to me just hammering booze, hating people, and talking about killers.
Wes angry.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think that's the way we're going to do it now.
We'll see.
But thanks to Nashville again, man. Nashville kicks ass.
Nashville likes us better than our own hometown.
Yeah. Which I'm okay with that, because I think Nashville I like better than my own hometown.
I was going to say, Nashville's more fun than our own hometown.
Yeah.
No offense, hometown. You're great and all, but we definitely have been in Nashville way too much to not love it.
Nashville, Memphis, Houston, all more than our hometown.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Yeah.
We love you.
It's like I thought we had more friends than that, but guess not.
We might have friends in low places.
Yeah.
And high.
Yeah. But I guess we could probably yak on that. But Keisha, what are you going to talk about?
Speaking of Texas.
Uh-oh. All my exes live in Texas.
Not all of my exes live in Texas, but the Excelsior House Hotel lives in Jefferson, Texas.
Really? Where's that at in Texas?
Jefferson?
Oh, yeah. I guess that's what you said, wasn't it? This is going to be great. It's a good thing to start this no editing, huh?
I can't. Oh my God. Sorry about the sass there. I don't know how close it is to any major cities. East Texas, I think.
Sounds good.
I haven't really done a whole lot of in deep digging. That's the word I was looking for. With a claw motion, y'all, because y'all can't see me.
Yeah, they can see that motion there.
She's
scooping like a shovel.
I was thinking about like an excavator.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, fancy machinery here.
Jefferson, Texas.
Yeah, so the Excelsior House Hotel in Jefferson, Texas. It is known to be the second oldest hotel in Texas. And it is what has been,
How now, brown cow?
How now, brown cow? It is in what has been called the most haunted small town in Texas.
Really?
Yeah. The hotel has been in continuous operation since 1858, when William Perry, a riverboat captain who saw the need for the hotel in the rowdy part of town, quote unquote.
The fun part of town.
Rowdy?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going to be where all the bars and whorehouses are at.
But it was 1858, so I don't know. Like, did he see rowdy as like the people who are getting, like, the place where everybody's getting stabbed?
Probably at that time.
Crap on a cracker. All right. Perry actually served as mayor of Jefferson He owned a shipping business and became very wealthy. He purchased the land and had the quote-unquote Irving House built, which is now the oldest part of the hotel on the northwest side. The southwest wing is stated to have been added on between 1865 and 1872, and the front of the hotel is, quote, ornately ironclad, which provides an old-time New Orleans vibe.
Sounds fancy.
It looks pretty cute. I mean, it's not as, like, extremely fancy as I thought. But, you know, the hotel was restored between 1961 and 1963 by the Jesse Allen Wise Garden Club. Members of the Garden Club, I'm sure you're going to be shocked by this, they actually prefer that no one talk about the ghosts or ask about them because they feel like it lowers the tone. Yeah.
I wouldn't go to a hotel to see a garden. Wait, never mind, we have. Yeah, never mind.
We have.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would go to a hotel to see a cool garden. So.
But only in Vegas, right?
Yeah, it's true.
When in Vegas. Throughout the years, many famous guests have stayed at the hotel, including Ulysses S. Grant.
Sounds
Hi,
good.
words. Oscar Wilde, Rutherford
Oh,
B.
the
Hayes.
Willy Wonka?
Yes?
No, that's Gene Wilder, isn't it?
I was like, I'm going to let you be wrong.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was just thinking, Willy Wonka, Willy Wonka.
Because we talked about Willy Wonka earlier. Rutherford B. Hayes, Lady Bird Johnson, Jay Gould, and Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg, the director, visited the town of Jefferson in the 1970s while filming Sugarland Express. The story goes that Spielberg felt uneasy all night and felt as though he was being followed. Once he entered the Jay Gould room, where he was to be staying the night, he put his briefcase onto the rocking chair, which then flew back in his face as though it had been thrown at him.
Wow.
After that, he claimed to have had trouble sleeping, and then once he did get to sleep, he was awakened by a little boy asking if he was ready for breakfast.
And the boy wasn't supposed to be there? It's a ghost boy?
It was a ghost.
I would be okay with a ghost boy bringing me breakfast.
I mean, I don't think he was bringing him breakfast, though. He was just asking if he was ready.
Well, I'd
So
tell a little
that
ghost
would
boy
piss
to
me
go
off,
get me
too.
some bacon.
Yeah. Like, I would be like, give me all the bacon and eggs you have.
Yeah.
I need it.
Meat tornado.
If you're going to wake me up at 2 a.m., give me some bacon.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he explained to the Dallas Morning News, "We dragged ourselves upstairs after a long day. I swear my room was haunted. I made everyone wake up, pack up, and get back in the cars about 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to drive 20 miles to the nearest Holiday Inn, and everybody was hot at me. I should add that I'm not normally superstitious." It is stated that after this experience in the Jay Gould room, he actually wrote his screenplay for Poltergeist.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we can't say, yeah, this definitely has something to do with it, but I can't say that it definitely doesn't have something to do with it, so
That's pretty cool.
I thought so. Hotel staff has claimed that 3 rooms in the hotel are haunted. The Jay Gould room is stated to be the most haunted in the hotel. The rocking chair in the room is stated to rock on its own, and the door reportedly slams shut without anybody touching it. Which I don't like. But, you know, that's not the most awful thing that's ever happened in the world.
Not ghost boy bringing bacon.
My door opens all the time by itself, and that's fine. Guests have also claimed that they have experienced someone sitting on the bed and touching them while being completely alone in the room and not seeing anything.
That would be weird.
I don't like it.
Wonder where they touch you.
I don't know. I don't think it's like ghost molestation.
Oh.
It's like, listen, you haven't had it in a while. Here, let me help you out a little bit.
Yeah. Sitting on the edge of the bed and the ghost is like, whoa, hi ghost.
Hey
A
there.
little lower there.
Hello.
I got a ghost hand job in the old Excelsior.
Oh, honey. In the Rutherford B. Hayes room, a woman claimed...
He's got to be a jazz singer.
Rutherford B. Hayes?
Sounds like a blues B.B. King Memphis
pretty sure he was like, was he a president?
A president?
Or like a vice president? Let's Google
this. This is us Googling stuff drunk. Keisha's now going through her porn collection here.
Listen.
And now see Snuggies on Amazon. She got me a Snuggie for Valentine's Day. It's now my favorite thing in the world.
Okay, listen, we might have to post a link to that because people are going to want that Snuggie.
It's got a little pocket that my cat will almost fit in.
Okay. Rutherford B. Hayes was the 19th president of the United States,
You're right.
you dummy.
I feel like that those illegal immigrants know more about history than I do right now.
Illegal immigrants. Okay. They probably
gotta take tests.
Because they gotta take tests to become legal immigrants.
If they gave us those tests, I'd be kicked across the border.
Yeah, I wouldn't pass it. Okay. In the Rutherford B. Hayes room, a woman claimed that she had the covers torn off of her while she was sleeping, even though she was completely alone.
So it could be a molesty ghost.
I mean, or maybe it was like, girl, you a little bit warm. You need to like cool off.
Yeah.
Here, let me help out a little bit.
Did you order a pizza?
Oh, honey. And this next portion, it's pretty much almost straight from a Bump in the Night blog post from 7 years ago. Bump in the Night is a creepy blog. I kind of want to give them credit because it's too intense to not give a word-for-word retelling.
So Bump in the Night, thanks.
A Bump in the Night. Thanks. We appreciate you. Retired ABC newsman Lyndon Dave Adams also had an experience in the Excelsior House. He stated that they spent the night in the Jay Gould room as well after being promised by staff that there was no ghosts. He asked jokingly, though, so he was like, it's not haunted, right? Boy, did he get a run for his money. Is that the phrase?
I zoned out for a little bit.
He got a shock. Let's just say that. You don't listen.
Sorry. I feel like I should have been paying attention when you look at me. I don't know why I was sorry.
Okay.
I was watching a fan. But then I realized it's not moving.
Yeah, it's not doing anything. Anyways, so he had been promised by staff that there were no ghosts after asking jokingly. Upon his arrival to his room, he stated that the song The Gold and Silver Waltz played in his head. So he stated that he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He noticed that the door was starting to slowly open on its own. So he shut it and latched it firmly. And when he returned to the bathroom door, he found that he could not turn the knob. And it felt as though someone on the other side was holding it tightly and not allowing him to re-enter the room.
Oh, wow. Did it say if it was hot or cold?
It did not say. He said aloud, "Come on, Carol," very funny, thinking that his wife was holding the door. The knob turned, and he stated that he flicked off the light as he opened the door. Across the room, standing beside the bed, there was the figure of a woman dressed in all black with a black veil. For one split second, he thought it was Carol, but she was in bed wearing a white nightie.
Whoa.
The apparition vanished. He said, I became aware of the scent of perfume in the room. I stood for a moment, slightly shaken, and then got into bed and lay there wondering. He said he thought of waking his wife, but decided it was not such a good idea since she would get scared and want to leave immediately.
Yeah.
Same.
That would be creepy.
Like, if you woke me up, I would be like, excuse me, no, let's leave.
Excuse me, Carol, I just shit my pants. We're getting out of this place. Yeah.
Actually, if you woke me up in the middle of the night, I'd be like, okay, so was it like a person or was it a ghost? Because if it was a ghost, let's go see if we can find it. Yeah. He stated that he woke up again later, smelling cigar smoke and hearing what sounded like someone rifling through newspaper pages. He sat up and the sound stopped. He stated he heard a knocking sound coming from the headboard near his head, and then fingernails being dragged across the headboard right above his head.
Wow. And his wife didn't hear any of this?
Listen. He drifted off to sleep and had a dream about the woman in black playing the Gold and Silver Waltz while seated at the grand piano, just like the one he had seen in the grand ballroom earlier when they went to dinner.
That's creepy.
And the song was the song that he had heard in his head before while entering the room.
Is it possible this guy just got really high?
I don't know. He might have been drunk.
Wait, he was a president?
Bar on site. No.
Oh, okay.
This is an old ABC anchor.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. So
I'm trying.
I know, you drink so much. He stated that there were noises in the bathroom and that they woke him up, even though Carol was still asleep next to him. And he even heard the toilet flush.
Well, that's courteous.
In his room without anybody being there. I would punch you to wake you up.
That's just common courtesy. If the ghost is going to use the bathroom, the ghost needs to flush. Shut the lid and spray some air freshener and come on out.
Oh my God. The knocking returned, but more persistent this time, and he thought that he was going insane. I mean, yeah, I would think so too.
If you told me that story, I'm going to say you're crazy.
You would be like, listen, how many drugs
yeah, I'm going to go back to sleep, and you go ahead and deal with your ghost.
He finally went back to sleep and woke up in the morning like nothing had ever happened. He told his wife of what went on, and she stated she did recall the knocking sounds, but that was it. Which is a little crazy.
So she's a pretty heavy sleeper.
Apparently so. Or maybe she's just like not. She took a sleeping pill. She was like conked out. Maybe she had a toddler. She needed that rest. Some believe that they have experienced encounters with quote unquote Diamond Bessie, a nickname given to Bessie Moore, also known as Annie Stone, a young prostitute who was fatally shot in the woods outside of Jefferson, but by her husband in 1877.
There's the horror bill. We haven't won an episode yet without the mention of a whore.
He just slapped me on that hard, though. I'm just a baby. Some people believe that Bessie visited someone at the hotel and that her spirit may haunt the area as she was murdered out of greed for the many diamonds she wore. Visitors who claim to have had encounters with her have experienced an apparition that smells strongly of perfume.
So she's a pretty high-class hooker.
I mean, listen.
With all them diamonds and the perfume back then?
She has got it going on. There have also been reports from other guests of a headless man in the halls.
Of course.
A woman in black that holds a child close to her. And the smells of cigar smoke and perfume randomly. Without reason.
I like this place. It sounds fun.
We need to go. There are reports that a phantom woman has appeared and scared guests, some claiming that she will steal money if you leave it on the table and aren't watching it closely enough.
That's actually called the maid. She comes in every morning.
She's like, oh, this was for me. It's my tip.
Yes.
Thanks. A woman who previously worked in the hotel stated that when she was working alone in the hotel, she would often hear sounds of furniture moving upstairs, and that sometimes she would smell pipe tobacco when no one else was around. It is also said that the lights in the Victorian parlor will flicker on and off without explanation.
I do know one thing about pipe tobacco, because my grandpa used to smoke on the back porch a lot, is that stuff, you could smell that forever. So if somebody smoked pipe tobacco in there a long time ago, it's still going to have that smell.
I don't know, though. I mean, like, over 100 years?
Oh, he's been dead that long, so I can't tell you that. But
You're 100 years old, Wes?
Not yet. When I'm 99, I'll give you an update. But.
Okay. Some claim that the unexplained noises that they hear in the hotel are simply caused by the previous owner, Captain William Perry, who was fatally shot near the hotel while walking home one night.
Oh, that's sad.
And that is Excelsior House.
Oh, that was at the end of
That's literally it. That's all I found on it.
Oh. Is it a hotel that you can go to now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, they have a legitimate hotel. They, again, they're not like the Crescent or other, like, popular hotels that people go to do ghost hunts and ghost tours. They don't like to talk about it. They think that it's going to be more popular for its history and not its haunted history. But you can stay at it. It's still functional, still open. It's really pretty. Pretty old school, but, I mean...
Stayed in some pretty rough hotels, so...
I mean, it's not, like, rough old school. Like, it's just, like, old school decorated. Decor?
Not have a crazy Mexican guy try to sell you drugs in the parking lot?
No.
That's good.
No. You're not going to have people sit outside on your
air conditioner
drinking in Nashville.
And that actually wasn't us.
You know, it happened to us while I was sick, and I screamed at people. Go figure.
When you go to Nashville, sometimes you have to stay in crappy hotels on the outside of town.
It's like, listen, if anybody's going to be drunk and screaming, it's going to be me, and it's not me tonight, so y'all need to go to bed.
Yeah.
All right. What are you going to tell me about tonight?
Well, I'm going to talk about Charlie Starkweather.
Starkweather?
Yeah. It's back when I was just a wee lad. I seen this on TV with my cigar-smoking grandpa there. And I don't know, it kind of stuck with me. It was a mini-series.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. My favorite thing about your story so far is that the dude's name is Charlie.
Charlie.
Because that's our
middle names. Yeah. My middle name's Charles, and Keisha's is Charlie, so...
It's Charlene.
Close enough. I forgot it for a minute.
I know you did. So...
Your name's Charles, too.
My name is Charles. Can we just start calling me that, please?
Where'd the mouse thing go? Oh, there it is.
So I think it's pretty fun. This guy fits in just well.
Mm-hmm.
Just swell? Just swell.
Swell.
Is what I was trying to
It's not really a swell guy, though.
I mean, are we swell guys?
I might be. You better not be.
All right, continue. We're whiskey girls.
Whiskey.
You're gonna need to start.
Yeah, but...
Oh, heavens.
Cough break there real quick. Got a cough, Keisha, get it out of you. It sounded like you coughed up a hairball over there. I'm not taking that out.
That was a cough.
Keisha just coughed up a fucking hairball in the microphone.
He told me we were having a cough break and that he'd edit it out.
I'm not going to now. It sounds too much like you coughing up a hairball.
Please edit it.
I might.
Please.
See how funny it sounds. Okay. I said I wasn't going to edit anything.
We're editing that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we had some silence, too. So, okay. Well, I guess we'll edit that stuff out.
Thank you, love you. How now, brown cow?
Yep.
Wow, your mom's a cow. Okay.
Silence.
And the sound of silence. Okay.
Charlie Starkweather was a nobody who wanted to be somebody.
I mean...
That's everybody from a small town. Everybody wants to get out of the town. California's not full of people that move to L.A. because they want to stay in their hometown and be nobodies. So.
Well, I mean, obviously we're doing a podcast for a reason.
Because we like to talk about killers.
Because we want to be somebody.
Oh. Well, I just like to talk about killers.
Not a real job.
Oh, and tacos. And zebra cakes.
And B, all of California is not made up of LA.
Did you know that all the gold in California is in a bank in Beverly Hills?
What?
Some country song just popped into my head.
Okay.
Those people, this
shouldn't drink this.
This is just went to shit.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
But, Charlie here, he was born November 24th, 1938 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Charles, his family was a hard-working family. His father was a carpenter. His mother was a waitress. He had a good childhood. His family was poor, but they had 7 children who they loved, so he had a pretty good childhood growing up.
There's just so many siblings.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really, unless you're just loaded, it'd be hard to take care of 7 kids.
It'd be hard to take care of
A dog and a cat. Like, I'm supposed to feed my cat 2 times a day.
It's really hard for you to take care of your dog and your cat, but they're well loved and well taken care of.
Yeah, he's a fat cat.
They're just very demanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Charlie, he thought he was pretty normal. And his life was going pretty good till he got old enough to go to school. And when he got to school, he was constantly bullied because he was born bow-legged. He had a speech impediment. He was severely nearsighted. So, and he's like a fire red-haired ginger. So
looks itself.
But you know how kids are. This kid is bow-legged and he talks funny.
I mean,
I'm straight-legged and I talk funny.
I mean, yeah.
I still catch a lot of shit.
And you're not a ginger.
No.
And we still make fun of you.
Yeah. So, you know, the kids are assholes, so he got made fun of.
The ginger makes fun of you.
Yeah. But at 16, he was 5'5". So, he was a short little fart.
He was my height.
Yeah. And he was also a slow learner, so he did poor in most subjects in school. They said the only subject he really did good at was gym class. So he really exercised, and he turned all this rage from bullying into muscles, and he started kicking some ass. He started beating up his bullies, and he started kind of turning into a bully.
Well, of course, because that's how it works, right?
Yeah. You bully the bully.
The bullied becomes the bully.
Yeah. And James Dean, I don't know if everybody listening to this knows who James Dean is or not, but he was a really popular actor.
I mean, I do.
Yeah, okay.
That's
so
all
if
that
you
matters.
do, I don't know what age. Like, some people don't even know who John Wayne or the Beatles are, so that just blows my mind.
How do you not? Okay, we're not going to go there.
Yeah. But James Dean is like a super popular actor. If you don't know who he is, then just go ahead and turn off the show.
Or just Google.
Yeah.
Don't turn us off. We love you.
But Charlie, he went with one of his buddies to see the movie Rebel Without a Cause. And he developed a James Dean fixation from that movie.
Huh.
He would slick back his hair. He'd dress like him. He'd get like a leather jacket, the jeans, just completely Fonzie. Like,
yeah.
Probably, if you don't know who James Dean is, you probably know who Fonzie is.
The Fonz from Happy Days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that Charlie related to James Dean's character in that movie. He found that it was somebody that suffered similar torment as him growing up, and they kind of made their own path, so he really admired him. They said that Charlie had a severe inferiority complex. And he had a lot of self-hate. And he said he wasn't able to do anything correctly. So he really was like a self-hating little fart. I guess he kind of had like a Napoleon complex almost.
Yeah.
If that's even a real thing. I've just heard it.
A little emo.
Yeah. A little redheaded emo.
Same.
Would you call a redheaded emo an Elmo?
No. If you would have called me an Elmo when I went through my emo phase, I would have stabbed you.
That's kind of a cute name for a redheaded emo, though.
Are you going to start calling me that? Please don't.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I just thought of that.
I'm going to learn how to talk in Elmo's like little voice. And I'm going to torment you with it while you're asleep.
But Starkweather, he went from being one of the best kids in school to one of the most troubled kids in the whole community.
Crap.
Yeah. His high school friends said he could be the kindest person you'd ever seen. He'd do anything for you if he liked you. He was a hell of a lot of fun to be around. Everything was one big joke to him, but he had this other side. He could be mean as hell and cruel. If he saw some poor guy on the street who was bigger than him, or better looking than him, or better dressed than him, he'd just try to take the poor bastard down.
Holy crap.
That was a quote from his friends. So he really, sounds like that he got bullied so much for being tiny and bow-legged that he went crazy.
Yeah. Well, you give him a little bit of power. Like, he realizes that he can overpower people, and that he has just a little bit of excitement from that, and then he lets it get to his head, and he's like, oh, yeah.
Those little muscly short guys are squirrely, though. I don't know if you ever try to get a hold of one of them, but they're rough little shits, so...
I don't fight people in general. I make a rule not to, but There were some boys from my high school that I definitely would advise people not.
Yeah, that's just those little guys. They're squirrely. You never know what to expect.
They could duck.
And if you're not from the South, squirrely means squirrely. I don't know any other word to describe it. But in 1956, 18-year-old Charlie was introduced to 13-year-old Carol Fugit. Or Fugit. Carol Fugit. By her older sister.
Fugit.
Yeah. Carol was a pretty girl who was a bit of a rebel herself, and she loved the fact that Charlie had a bad boy image.
And she was 13.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Right, like these days, that'd be like, ooh, yeah.
I mean, he would be going to jail.
Yeah.
Because that's a minor.
But he treated her like a goddess. She was impressed by his cars. He would steal cars and kind of race them around this local racetrack they had. He was tough. They said he had good looks. And if you Google pictures of the guy, he turned out to be a pretty good looking guy, really. I'll put pictures on his Instagram or
on his Instagram?
Or on Instagram.
Okay.
But, I mean, it seems like he really grew into himself. I mean, he didn't. I know we talked about him looking like a little bow-legged ginger, but he didn't. I mean, he turned out okay.
Starkweather?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Googling him.
But despite the poverty, he found a way to pretty much give her anything he could. He said that she meant more to him than anything he'd ever had before, and without her, he would go back to a world that he hated so much. He said that she made him stop hating himself, and he saw himself as reflected in her eyes. So to him, he finally looked good. So it's kind of almost like they were soulmates.
She like
kind of like a sweet romance thing.
She like kind of helped him gain confidence.
Yeah, he really got some self-esteem.
Huh.
But I guess not enough to stay in school because he dropped out of high school his senior year. And if you're going to drop out of high school, the senior year seems like the dumbest year to do it.
I mean, don't drop out of high school.
Yeah, but
so
why wait till the senior year?
I don't know from experience, but I've seen. I just don't. Maybe he was just over it.
Yeah. Probably if you were bullied all the way up through high school and then you start to be this badass, I figure he had a reputation of just. It's probably rough to a small town.
Yeah.
But after he dropped out of school, he got a job at a local warehouse. He took the job at that warehouse because it was close to the junior high school where she went to school at. That is just creepy saying that.
I was about to say, It seems so creepy. Ugh.
His boss has said that Charlie was a poor worker, and his employee said you had to tell him to do something 2 or 3 times because out of all the employees in the warehouse, he was the dumbest one he had.
And I'm sure it didn't help any that he was probably consistently and constantly thinking about his little 13-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah. And, I mean, he probably didn't talk real plain at the time. I found a YouTube video on him, and to me, he kind of sounds like Mike Tyson.
Oh, okay.
And, I mean, he couldn't see that good, so who knows if he had glasses at that time.
But, yeah. I don't know.
But Charlie taught her how to drive, and one day she crashed his 49 Ford into another car.
Oh, my God.
Which I love old cars, and 49 Ford would be awesome. So but
it, like, hurts you to hear that.
Yeah.
It hurts
deep
me
inside.
to hear that.
Yeah. But Charlie's father had to pay for the damage because he was part owner of the car. So back then, not everybody really had insurance. So it was just kind of like, okay, he had to pay for this damage. So that caused a fight between Charlie and his dad. So Charlie's dad kicked him out of the house.
Well, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Like, my dad would straight up, like, as an adult, my dad would threaten to battle me. He'd be like, listen, you need to go away for a while because I can't look at you.
Starkweather quit his job at the warehouse and he became a garbage collector. Said the pay was only $42 a week. So,
but what's the inflation on that?
Yeah.
Like,
probably at least the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Charlie said he's seen himself as trapped in a life of poverty. He rode this garbage truck to the nearby wealthier part of town, and he's seen how people were living. he started getting these big ideals because he was in poverty and he was going and seeing all these people live all these great lives, all these fancy houses and nice cars, and he's on the back of a garbage truck. Yeah. So he starts concocting all these plans, like rob a bank, rob stores, just pretty robbing, stealing, just to get some money. He was quoted saying, "Dead people are all on the same level." So he was really starting to kind of get an evil streak in him.
Dude needs to calm it down.
Yeah, on November 30th, 1957, Charlie went to a service station in Lincoln, Nebraska, where he tried to purchase a stuffed toy dog for Carol on credit. They said he was going to get it to her for a gift. But Robert Covert was the gas station attendant there. He refused to give it to him on credit. So Charlie left. He came back that morning at 3 a.m. with a shotgun.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. Well, he parked away from the place, and he got a red bandana and a hat, and he walked into the station with a shotgun in a bag, and he held up the station at gunpoint. He only got $100 because Covert, he was new and he didn't know how to open up the safe. So Charlie got pretty pissed off at that, and he took Covert with him. He forced him out of the store into the car. So Charlie drove him down to a remote area of Lincoln, forced him out of the car, and Charlie had the shotgun, so Covert realized what might happen, so they started fighting.
Oh, my God.
And in the struggle, Charlie's gun went off and shot Covert in the leg.
Holy crap.
And pretty much, they say it hit his kneecap and blew his lower leg off.
Oh.
So once Covert was on the ground, Charlie finished him off with a shot to the head with the shotgun.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, these episodes aren't much better, but they're not me killing babies every 5 minutes. So,
okay,
yeah,
or at all.
I'm not gonna say it all because actually, but it'll be okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As long as we don't talk about eyeballs, I'm good.
Yeah, no eyeballs.
Thank God for that. I'm done with eyeballs for a while. Listen.
Investigators said that the murder gave Starkweather a feeling of euphoria and peace. He had money, he had a girl, he had killed and not been bothered by it. They said it gave him an enormous feeling of power. He now operated outside the law. He felt as he was invisible and could just do what he wanted.
I'm sure he got like a god complex.
Yeah, because he did this. Nobody knows. He's got some money, so he felt...
Yeah.
He was making $42 a week as a garbage guy, and he made $100 in one robbery. So,
yeah.
So that's crazy. He was getting cocky.
Yeah. I mean, just by that one.
Yeah. The day after he robbed the gas station and murdered Covert, Charlie admitted to Carol that he held up the gas station but said somebody else had shot him. She was not fooled. He told people later that robbery was a secret between them that created a big bond between them. So it was almost like him telling her that he robbed and killed this guy was something that created like a love between them that couldn't be broken. That
is so friggin' weird.
Some stupid bullshit. She was 13.
I was about to say, because if you said that to me, I'd be like, peace.
Yeah.
I'm out. Sorry about it.
So while Charlie was out doing all these late night jobs, he got fired from his job as garbage man.
Of course.
And since he wasn't paying his bills, his landlady locked him out of the house, so he's past doing his rent. And Carol's family was completely against the relationship because he's got a bad reputation.
And she's 13.
Yeah, that's the main part of this. I think even back then, 13, that's a big difference. So 13, 18, she's a baby. So.
I mean, like, if he was a good church going, like...
I don't think so.
Like, I'm only gonna see you when you're with your parents kind of person, they might make an exception. It might not be as weird. But...
Yeah. What really...
That's still gross. She's a baby.
It really put them over the edge when she had started gaining a little bit of weight and her family thought that she was pregnant.
Jesus.
They said that Charlie was desperate at this point. He wanted to stay together with her, and the family just wasn't having it. So on January 21st, 1958, Starkweather went to Carol's home. Said her mother and her stepfather, Velda and Marion Bartlett, had told him multiple times to stay away, but he showed up. The details are sketchy about what happened because pretty much Charlie and Carol are the only two people that really know what happened.
Crap.
But Starkweather killed both of her parents with a shotgun, shooting both of them in the face.
Holy crap.
And I know I wasn't going to talk about babies, but he then killed Carol's 2-year-old sister, Betty Jean, by stabbing her to death.
Oh. Poor baby.
The popular opinion on what happened is that Charlie went to the house, like with the guys, saying that he wanted to go hunting with her stepfather just to try to talk to him. That's how he got the gun up to the door.
Yeah.
Because they knew of him, they didn't like him, but I mean, I'm sure they didn't think he was coming to kill him.
Yeah.
So the guy didn't immediately think he was going to kill him.
Like,
so he brings the gun in.
He's like, hey, this is my, my peace offering.
Let's go hunting. And then he starts killing people.
Man, Jesus.
So after he killed these people, he dragged the mother's body outside to an outhouse and threw her down the opening.
No.
Then he put the baby in the box and did the same thing. He dumped Marion on the floor of the chicken coop.
Holy crap.
Once that was done, Charlie and Carol cleaned up the blood inside the house, spent the rest of the evening drinking Pepsi and eating potato chips.
Seriously?
Yeah.
She's just as jacked up as he is.
Well, yeah, they stayed in the house just a few yards away from the corpses of the family for almost a week, buying groceries on credit at the local store and just having a good time.
What the hell?
Starkweather said that she was there the entire time, but she denied it. She said that she came home from school, found Charlie in the house, he held her at gunpoint, and said that he would kill her family if she didn't cooperate. She said she was being held hostage. But
well,
that story
she didn't want to get in trouble.
Pretty much immediately threw out because her family was dead from the beginning and the blood was on the floor. So
yeah.
They remained in the house until her grandmother got suspicious. Her grandmother kept coming over to the house, and she would tell her that they couldn't come out because they had the flu. So it was a pretty crappy story. The grandmother thought that, this is suspicious because she knew Charlie had a bad reputation. So she went to the police, and police come over there. And by the time the police got there, Charlie and Carol had left.
Good job, Grandma.
Yeah. Police searched the property and found the bodies.
Of course, yeah.
So now at this point,
nuts.
there's a massive manhunt.
Yeah.
They haven't connected this murder with these murders yet. But that took a lot longer. Right now, they pretty much know that Charlie did this crime. I mean, he was their only suspect. But now they're on a run, and they go to nearby Bennett, Nebraska, and go to a farmhouse of a 70-year-old man named August Meyer. He was a family friend of Charlie's. And this is another one. If you hear Charlie's side of the story, he said that they went up there demanding a car, and the old man pulled a gun, so Charlie said he had to fire back on him as self-defense.
Of course he said that.
And if you watch the movie is a really good movie. I'll talk about that later. The old man made fun of Charlie and said that, boy, you were in the outhouse the day God was handing out brains. So he probably made Charlie mad somehow, and Charlie shot him. But anyway, whatever happened, Charlie killed him with a shotgun blast to the head. And Charlie also killed the guy's dog.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
But I mean, when was this? What year?
1958-ish.
Okay, in the 50s, if your family friends didn't make fun of you just a little bit, there's something wrong.
I mean, we still make fun of family.
Yeah. So, I mean, he should have been used to that.
Yeah. They
but obviously it pissed him off because he was too used to it.
Well, he's bullied all through school,
Yeah.
and I figure he thinks if he lets anybody bully him, then
Oh, yeah.
he's
And that's what I was saying. Like, he was too used to being bullied, so he didn't see it as just
snapped.
old dude that's a friend of my parents, just being a jerk, because that's what old dudes do sometimes.
Yeah. But after that, they hid his body, and then they went into the house, went through his stuff, took his money, his guns, ate some food, and slept till the next day.
Crap.
The next morning, they tried to leave the area, but when they left, they got the car stuck in some mud and abandoned the car and started walking down the road. And 2 local teenagers happened to drive past them as Robert Jensen and Carol King. They seen them walking down the road and stopped and offered them a ride. Which is a horrible idea. We know now not to pick up hitchhikers, even though they're fun. But Charlie forced them to drive back to the farm and forced them into a storm cellar at the farm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Robert was shot in the head with a shotgun, and Carol was also shot once in the head. But her body was found half naked with her jeans ripped off and her panties down around her ankles.
Uh-oh.
And she had been stabbed repeatedly in the abdomen and the pubic area with a knife, but there was no evidence of semen. So nobody really ever admitted to what happened there. Mm-hmm. But Charlie, he admitted to shooting Jensen, the male. Mm-hmm. But he said the female, he said that Carol shot her, and Carol mutilated her because she said that Charlie was attracted to her, so she mutilated her out of anger because Charlie was attracted to the girl.
Well, I could see that, because if she is already insecure, she's with this guy who's not mentally stable. She's not mentally stable or emotionally stable. I can see her using rage that way.
Yeah.
For sure, because that's exactly what I was thinking before you said anything about her doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that Charlie could have just looked at this girl the wrong way, and it probably sent her full of rage.
Yeah, and not even meant anything to him, but she thought, oh, he likes her. He likes her more than me. Here, let me kill her real quick.
Yeah. Carol said that she stayed in the car the entire time while Charlie killed both of them in the storm cellar.
Because she can't be at fault.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything bad. She's only 13.
But they left the 2 bodies in the storm cellar.
Jesus.
They talked about escaping to Washington State to stay with Charlie's brother, but instead, I mean, I guess you can tell by now they're not the brightest.
Well, yeah.
So they drove back to Lincoln, hoping to stay in her parents' house. But instead, they found a place surrounded by cops.
Of course.
Because there was just a triple murder there, you dumbass.
Yeah, I mean, you're not exactly gonna get away with this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just like, oh, well, there's some bodies, okay, bye.
Yeah, well, we're done here. Yeah. They're all dead. But
I mean, you find 75% of the family dead, and one member's not accounted for. You kind of assume that that's probably who did it,
yeah.
And she's gone? Huh, let's look for her. Oh my gosh.
They drove by the house and seen that the bodies have been found because there's police cars all around and media, so they decide to get out of town, so they head towards the rich side of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh my God.
And the following day, the police found the bodies at the farm of the old man and the 2 teenagers. So
Jesus.
They're kind of putting this together now as this is probably one group of people or one person because they're all close enough together. So
and they're kind of related.
Yeah.
It's all people that he knew.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's all the same death.
Yeah, shotguns, yeah.
Yeah, shotgun to the head, pretty much.
So a major manhunt started.
Of course.
So they went to the nice section of Lincoln and found what they considered the nicest house on the street in the nicest neighborhood and decided to rob it. If that's not a plan.
I mean,
these poor people, because they have a nice house, just got shittiest lottery ever. But
and the only thing I can think of is how in the South, I mean, our part of the South, that's not a good idea at all, because the nicest part of town, the nicest house,
have the most guns.
Probably has the most guns. Because
So-
they have the most money to buy the most
Yeah.
guns.
But
It's like our freaking arsenal.
they ended up picking the house of Laurel Ward and his wife Clara. Laura, that's a man's name. I'm going to call him Ward from this point on because I don't know how to say his first name. It's Lauer.
Lauer. Maybe? Lauer?
That's a nice sounding name, really.
Lauer?
I like it. But Lauer Ward and his wife. Lauer was a businessman and a steel tycoon who was well connected in the state. Like, he knew the governor. He knew everybody.
Of course he did, because he had a fancy house in a fancy neighborhood.
And these dumbasses decided
no
to pick
guns.
this house. So, well,
Okay, maybe he had guns, but he was not prepared.
yeah. If you're
Like we would
ambushed,
be.
Carol, she stayed in the car while Charlie went and knocked on the door. And the maid, Lillian Finchy, she answered the door. Charlie pointed his gun at her and ordered her to lock up the dog that he's seen there into the basement. And the maid, she had a hearing problem, so to get this done, Charlie had to write her a note. So I'm sure Charlie's note spelling was awesome.
No, I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, between him having a speech impediment and her not being able to hear good, that had to be like something out of Benny Hill or something like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Poor fella, but also poor maid.
Yeah. So the maid, she was making breakfast when he knocked on the door. And, you know, that maid wasn't expecting anything. She just thought it was probably somebody delivering milk or something because that happened back then. But yes, because at one time...
What happened back then? They delivered milk to your house.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But since she was making breakfast, Charlie's just like, hey, you go ahead and keep making that breakfast. So Miss Ward, she came downstairs not knowing that Charlie was in the house. Yeah. So she came down there thinking just everything was normal and found this young guy with a shotgun in her house.
Miss Ward, what are you doing?
Yeah. But she stayed calm and cooperated with Charlie, and Charlie had Carol come to the house. So Charlie ordered Miss Ward to fix him pancakes and serve them to him in the library.
Oh my goodness.
That's
So he basically is like, I know this is your house, but it's mine now, and I'm going to need you to serve me.
Yeah. And she did. She did it.
You're my bitch.
And when she did that, she brought them to him, and he said, no, go back and make me waffles instead.
What a little a-hole.
And, you know, I'm not cultured enough to know the difference between pancakes and waffles, but to me, they're exactly the same.
Honey, you are. You've eaten waffles.
But
They're the ones with the syrup pockets.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be able to care enough to know the difference between pancakes and waffles.
You're so full of crap.
You think so?
Yes.
Is it just the booze that's not got me clouded?
I think it's the booze that's got you clouded.
Because aren't they the same thing with holes in them?
They're the same thing with syrup pockets.
Yeah,
But they don't look the same.
yeah, but you're not going to send back your waffles just because you want pancakes.
You might.
Really?
They taste different.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, they taste different.
Well, I guess
I
we'll
mean,
have to
to
have
me.
a taste test. But
Okay, let's do it. I'm all about some
some
breakfast.
bacon. But well, so she went back and made this little fucker waffles, and she kept her cool. I wish she would just smart it off to him. He's like, "I'll make your waffles, you little bow-legged bastard."
She
But
is so much more patient than
Yeah.
either of us.
I would have been shot in like 5 minutes
You would have.
Yeah.
I would have probably kept my cool a little bit. I probably would have cried
until
some.
he brought back the waffles.
I would have been like, I'll eat those pancakes. That's fun.
Yeah. But she kept her cool and she was gracious. They said they laughed because Charlie thought it was funny that one of the wealthiest residents in Lincoln was waiting on him, just a poor garbage man.
What a little turd.
Yeah, he is just so far up his own ass at this point that
He's a little shavine.
yeah. Around 1 p.m., Clara said she needed to go upstairs to change her shoes, which I'm sure was just a good reason to go upstairs and get a gun. Mm-hmm. After a few minutes upstairs, Charlie went up there to see what was keeping her. And when he went up there, he found that she had a .22 pistol.
Good job.
Yeah. So she shot at him and missed because, I mean, she probably didn't expect him to come right in on her.
Yeah.
So Charlie didn't take his gun with him because he's a dumbass. And,
but also, I mean, yay.
Yeah. But that didn't really stop him because he had a knife and he threw it at her and hit her in the back.
Oh.
Yeah, because I guess when she seen that he had a knife, she probably turned to cower. Mm-hmm. But so he threw that knife and hit her in the back, which to me is a pretty impressive throw.
Yeah.
I know we're probably sounding desensitized again about
Unless
this.
it was close range.
Yeah. But then he grabbed her and struck her several times in the neck and the chest, and then he stabbed her to death.
Poor lady.
Yeah.
She had a fighting chance, though.
Yeah, if she would have hit him with that gun, he'd been dead and it would have been over.
She had been in, like, live-action cowboy shooting.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I guess shooting under duress like that is pretty hard.
Yeah.
Everybody always thinks that's easy, but it's not.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Under
it's not
stress.
like you have time to, like, just aim.
That's why people always gripe when police officers fire 20 times, but no, they train those guys to just center mass and shoot till they're dead. I mean,
yeah,
you just keep firing. So but she may have had a single shotgun for all we know.
Yeah.
But they dragged her body into the bedroom and they found another dog, and that dog started barking at them, so Charlie pistol whipped the dog and killed it.
Oh, poor baby.
So I'm sorry, but that's a baby and 2 dogs I've now killed in this episode, and that's the last.
I thought that was the last dog, or I thought that was the only dog. The other one just
he
got
killed
put
that
under
old
the
man's
basement.
dog too.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Poor babies.
After Miss Ward decided that she was going to fight back, they went and got the maid and tied her to the bed.
Oh my God.
And they waited around for Mr. Ward to come home. And around 5:30, the newspaper arrived, which I guess they get a late newspaper at that city. I thought that's kind of interesting. Or maybe it was the one from the day before, and Charlie just didn't realize when newspapers are delivered.
Or also, I mean, it was the 50s.
Yeah, maybe they did too today then.
Yeah.
But Charlie was amazed when he seen his name on the front page of the paper. He said he was finally somebody to be reckoned with.
Oh my God, that child.
Yeah. Said about an hour later, Mr. Ward finally came home, and when he opened up the door, he was met with Charlie pointing a gun at his face.
Of course.
So Mr. Ward, being, I guess, the kind of guy he was, immediately started fighting with Charlie.
I would too.
Yeah, they said it was a pretty rough struggle, but eventually Charlie shot him and killed him. Which Charlie had the upper hand because he had the gun, he had the advantage on him, upper ground. I mean, the guy wasn't expecting somebody to be in his house.
Granted, Mr. Ward definitely knew the house better, like his surroundings, but Charlie had killed multiple people at this point.
And he ambushed him, so.
Yeah, I mean,
at least the guy fought back.
He at least tried.
After that happened, they killed the maid. Charlie claimed that Carol went and killed the maid, and she claimed that Charlie did it. So nobody really knows, but the maid was stabbed to death, tied to the bed. So
because nobody wants to accept blame, because they're both little turds.
Yeah. But after that, they took a lot of the Ward's belongings and filled it up in the Packard car from the Ward's garage. And a Packard car at that time was like that day's Rolls Royce. A Packard was like the finest automobile you could get.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like somebody like Charlie driving it's going to immediately be suspicious.
Yeah.
And this murder here caused a huge uproar because this guy was a businessman. He knew the governor, and Charlie killed the wrong person.
Yeah.
Of all the houses he could have picked, he picked the worst house.
God bless.
Because the governor made the National Guard lock down the city.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So they started searching the city block by block. They said the city was completely sealed off. The FBI started an investigation, and they offered a $1,000 reward, which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of money to me.
Yeah, I'd turn a little fucker in for $1,000, but wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
And they even had aircraft going up looking for this Packard, because this Packard was going to stick out. It'd be like driving a Rolls Royce through our little town.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to notice.
Like a Lambo.
Yeah. They decided, once again, did we just lose audio? Test. Okay. They decided once again to go back to Carol's house, her parents' house.
How dumb are these people?
But when they went by, they'd seen that a car was in the driveway and the lights were on. So they decided once again, well, let's go west this time. Jesus. And I guess Charlie realized that a dumbass like him shouldn't be driving a Packard. So they started looking for a car to steal.
Well, at least there's that.
They drove all night. Yeah.
That easy.
But finally, they crossed over into Wyoming the next morning. And they came across a traveling salesman named Merle Colson. He was a Montana shoe salesman who was sleeping in his Buick parked along the highway. Which back then, Buicks were awesome cars, too.
Yeah.
Which the new Buicks look awesome, too. So
yeah.
If you're listening, I'd take a new one. But Charlie woke up the salesman to announce that they were going to steal his car. But the shoe salesman fought back. Which, I mean, somebody wakes you up and is like, hey, I'm going to take your car.
You're like,
yeah.
You're 18. No.
You're get over here, squirt. I'm going to whoop your ass. And then a fight came out.
I was going to say, like, if someone your height had someone my height approach them and say, I'm going to take your car now, you would look down at me and be like,
and then he would shoot me.
You're hilarious.
Yeah. And that's what happened, and then Charlie shot him.
Yeah.
And this part of the story gets pretty weird pretty fast, so I'm going to try to break it down a little bit.
Okay.
The salesman's body is still in the back of the car where he was sleeping. Charlie is a dumbass. We've got that established.
Yeah.
He could not figure out how to release the parking brake from the car.
Oh my God.
Because he
is a child.
Yeah.
And not the brightest.
So he was attempting to drive the car away with the parking brake on, and he stalled the car out in the middle of the intersection. So this guy passing by comes up and offers to help Charlie. Charlie gets this guy at gunpoint and tells him, fix it or he'll kill him. So at this point, I don't know what happened in Carol's mind, but there was starting to be a scene there because this guy trying to help him unhook this parking brake or undo the parking brake notices there's a dead body in the back seat.
Oh my God.
And at the same time, Nebraska state troopers pull up.
Of course they do.
Yeah, so Charlie's having a bad day.
I mean, Charlie's having a bad life, but Charlie's also made a whole bunch of people have bad days and ended their lives. So he deserves it.
Yeah. At this point, Carol, she runs over to the sheriff. It's a sheriff, not a state trooper, and says, it's Starkweather. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. Help, it's him. He's in the car. So Starkweather finally gets the brake off the car, and they go on a high-speed chase through town, speeds over 100 miles an hour.
Holy crap.
So shots are being fired at the car, and a bullet goes through the windshield, and a piece of glass hits Charlie's ear.
Uh-oh.
He thinks he got shot in the head because it starts bleeding a lot.
And his equilibrium probably got off, too.
So he freaks out, stops in the middle of the road, and surrenders. The sheriff said he thought he was bleeding to death. That's why he stops. That's the kind of yowl son of a bitch he is.
Oh, my God.
That was a quote from the sheriff.
Oh, my God.
So that was big news. They'd finally caught these people that they had this massive manhunt over. I'll put pictures up, But they brought him in, and he was covered in blood, and he was in handcuffs, and they had like a dog chain attached to him almost to his handcuffs so he couldn't get away. But he had tucked his red hair and dyed it black with shoe polish, and he had it kind of swept back like James Dean, and he was smoking a cigarette while he was arrested, which I thought was odd. Which I guess is different times.
It was the 50s.
Yeah. And he was wearing a black leather jacket with his denim pants on and cowboy boots. He was just really going hard for that rebel look.
Yeah.
And this was the kind of the first time in America anybody had really seen on TV somebody had caught like a killer that just went on a killing spree. They said that he was just a James Dean wannabe.
Oh, of course.
And after his capture, he told the sheriff, "I always wanted to be a criminal, but not one this big." The sheriff said this bandy-legged little gun-toter was defiant, but he quickly confessed to the murders.
Well, of course.
I like that little bandy-legged gun-toter. I don't even know what bandy... I've heard of bandy chickens, so I don't know if he's going by that or because his legs are bowed and called him... I don't know. It's just fun. It's just a fun little phrase.
Never heard that before in my life.
But he confessed to the murders and even admitted to killing an additional victim at a gas station earlier before he had killed the that Culvert guy at the first murder that we knew about.
Oh, crap.
And Charlie, as we know, was a dumbass, so he claimed self-defense for most of the crimes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Again, homeboy cannot take...
I went to the gas station with a gun. He wouldn't give me his money, so I shot him. It's completely self-defense.
Yeah. Of course, he's not responsible for anything.
Charlie said, "The more I looked at people, the more I hated them. I knowed there wasn't any place for me with that kind of people. I knowed it."
I knowed it.
I love quotes from Charlie.
Of course you do.
He said, "I had been hated, and I had be hated. I had my little world to keep alive as long as possible, and my gun was the answer."
Holy crap.
Charlie, his options weren't that great. He pretty much knew that he was probably going to be executed anywhere we went. And Wyoming had the gas chamber, and Nebraska had the electric chair. So they decided to go ahead and try their luck in Nebraska. But what they didn't realize is the mayor or the governor of Wyoming was pretty much anti-death penalty. So if he wouldn't have had himself extradited to Nebraska, he may have never actually faced the gas chamber.
Holy crap.
But since
that's insane.
He was a dumbass, he had himself extradited to Nebraska.
Homeboy didn't do his research.
No, and they were both tried as adults and both faced the electric chair.
Oh my God.
The prosecutor chose the murder of Robert Jensen. He was one of the two teenagers that they killed that had picked him up to try him, since it had the most potential to shock the jury and the outrage because it was two teenage kids that were innocent, and they just killed them for the hell of it. Yeah. And of course, we've seen this before. They'll just pick one and charge them with it. That way, if anything else happens, then they got the rest to fall back on.
Yeah.
And at first, Charlie claimed that he had kidnapped Carol and that she had nothing to do with the murders. However, he changed his story several times, and he finally testified against her, saying that she was a willing participant, when she testified in trial saying that she didn't love Charlie, that she was just kidnapped. So that really pissed Charlie off.
Yeah. Well, she's trying to save her butt.
Yeah.
And of course, he's going to try to save her butt first, but then he's like, well, maybe not.
Yeah, she said that she didn't know her family was already dead in the house. And Charlie said if he deserved to die, so should she, because she was just as guilty. So they really were just tossing each other under to the bus.
Stinking teenagers, man.
Yeah.
These people are awful.
The judge saw through all this bullshit and said that
Thank God
he
for
didn't
that.
believe she was being held hostage because she had numerous opportunities to escape.
Yeah.
But that would be scary. This older guy with a gun, you've seen shotgun all these people. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it from her side, she's a 13-year-old kid.
Well, and there's also, like, what's it called? It's a form of child abuse where they basically, like, teach the child how... It's grooming. It's sexual grooming. He's, like, teaching her to do the things that he wants her to do and be okay with the things that he's doing that are negative.
I could see that in this. That makes sense.
And so she may have just been groomed to believe that this was all okay, and he, like, fed off of her insecurities and things like that. I mean, he may not have, but... Yeah. I mean, this was the 50s. Who knows?
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, really. But Charlie's trial began. He did nothing to help his trial.
Oh, my God. Of course not.
His defense team tried to say that he was innocent by the reason of insanity. And Charlie maintained that he was completely sane while he did all this.
Child!
Yeah. So
I mean, not that he needed to get off without being punished, but...
Charlie said...
He is so...
Yeah, the idea of him being labeled as insane was worse than being a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah, because it was just another negative thing being said about him.
I guess he really liked the idea of being a badass.
Oh, of course.
But as time went on, everything really started to turn against them both. Because she had testified against him and he had testified against her. So they were both really screwed. They didn't have a defense. All they had was evidence against them and witnesses that placed them at the various locations. So Starkweather, he was found guilty and received the death penalty for the murder of Jensen, which was the only murder he was ever tried for. And she received a life sentence. And she was the youngest woman at that time in U.S. history to ever be sentenced to life in prison at 14 years old.
Holy crap.
So it was about 9 months later that old Charlie here was going to die. They said the day before his execution, he told an interviewer if he could go back in time, he would kill as many people as he could because he hates people. So he didn't get any better with age.
He's the worst.
The prison, they offered him a chance to donate his eyes to, I guess...
Babe.
Oh my God, how did I do that? I didn't even mean to do that.
More eyeballs. I can't. That's 2 weeks in a row now.
But,
gross.
But Charlie said nobody ever did anything for me alive, so why should I help anybody when I'm dead?
Well, thank God for that.
Yeah, sorry, Keisha. I killed a baby, 2 dogs, and eyeballs all in one episode. I'm not trying to get better.
Yeah. Can't handle it.
But we know how dumb Charlie is. When it came down to the last meal, the prison was going to give him steak. But guess what Charlie did?
What did he request?
He wanted a cold cut sandwich.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the warden came to get Charlie, and Charlie just asked him, "What's the hurry?" And that was pretty much the last words he ever said. When he went to the death chamber, they said he was more curious than afraid of the electric chair. He pretty much just sat down. He was just kind of excited to be there.
What in the world?
Yeah. So, he was just kind of interested in the way it worked. It's like, this is about to zap your ass to death.
I mean, I'm interested in the way it works too, but not on me.
Yeah. So,
Jesus.
And they once again asked him if he had any final words, and they're like, no, it's cool, just do me. So, 6 shocks. It took 6 shocks to finish him off, so that's kind of a good thing at least.
Holy crap. And
he was buried in a cemetery in Lincoln, Nebraska, where 5 of his victims are also buried. And O'Carroll here, which I kind of feel that this is shitty, but she got parole after serving only 17 years in prison, and she was released.
Well, she was a minor.
Yeah, but still, that's kind of shitty. And afterwards, she ended up moving to Michigan and changed her name, and she worked at as a janitor at a hospital. And Martin Sheen, he played in a movie about this called Badlands, which is a completely awesome movie. It was like It's no joke, one of the best movies I've ever seen. We'll have to watch it.
You stayed up through the whole thing?
Yeah, it's a great movie. Like, the way it's shot, like it's shot out in Nebraska, and every
Excellent
picture.
Cinematography.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'll have to watch it, yeah.
I can't think of the director's name right now, but he's done a lot of other movies like that. He does all these, like, just great shots. Like, I love pictures, and just the framing of every one of the shots is perfect. It really is. Like, it's probably one of the best movies I've ever watched. And Martin Sheen was an actor in it, and Charlie, his gravestone was vandalized because he's a little shit, but Martin Sheen bought him a new one, which I thought that was kind of cool.
Aww.
Martin Sheen said that was probably one of the best scripts he's ever read.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it really is. The movie is Badlands, and it's honestly one of the best movies I've ever watched. It's probably my top 25 of all time. Well, I mean, because there's so many. I change weekly.
I know.
Yeah. I'd say at least top 20. I'd cut it into that.
Okay.
Stephen King was pretty much obsessed over Starkweather. When he was young, he kept a scrapbook about all of his crimes, and he said he later worked Starkweather into a lot of his books as like the antagonist, I guess. Kind
of like an inspiration for his characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, I told you about Badlands. This was also the inspiration for Natural Born Killers. So, I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's a pretty good movie, too.
I don't watch a lot of movies without you.
Oh.
And I don't watch a lot of movies with you being awake.
Yeah,
so.
It's true. And the way I heard about this case forever ago, I think I was 5 or 6 when I watched this with my grandpa. It was a miniseries on ABC called Murder in the Heartland. It was a 2-part miniseries.
Huh.
And it's really awesome. It was really good.
I wonder if we can look that up.
Yeah, it's probably on surely YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah.
Badlands, I don't know. It's so hard to find some of those older movies, but I'm sure find it on what's that channel that plays all the really good old movies?
TCM or
yeah.
Turner Classic Movies.
But everybody should watch the movie Badlands. If you even like this episode a little bit, you would love the movie Badlands. And Bruce Springsteen wrote a song about Starkweather. It was a song called Nebraska about all the events. So
Badlands can be rented on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play Movies, and Vudu for $2.99.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely worth $2.99. If I can ever find it on DVD, I buy it. I mean, it really is a good movie. I don't know, it sounds like I'm talking it up, but there's also tons of books about this. At the time this happened, this was like O.J. Simpson. Well, Jesus. I don't know. Some of these people don't remember O.J. Simpson, so it was a huge case at the time.
If the people don't remember or weren't alive for...
Like Casey Anthony, I guess, would be something in
but still,
a lot of people's
I know
lifetime.
how big O.J. Simpson was, and I don't remember it, but I know how big it was.
Yeah.
So...
But it was just a huge case.
Pop culture.
To me, it was one of the... I don't know, it was... The movie Murder in the Heartland, it was so weird, the execution scene in that movie, just because I guess the actor didn't want his head shaved, so they shaved like these crazy sideburns and like a weird mullet. And it was
weird.
It was weird. It's a good movie. It's a little bit hokey.
So
but
that's what shaped you into the weirdo that we love today, huh?
Probably a lot of other things than that, but I guess everybody's grandpa does grandpa things, and mine were watching killing movies on ABC. So.
And mine was watching the church channel and telling us that we were heathens.
Yeah, probably are. I guess we still are heathens.
We are, but my parents aren't.
Well, I had more fun with this episode, considering we're not going to edit it. We're just going to shoot it out there.
So, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was good. Sorry about my laugh and all my weirdness, y'all.
Yeah, but this is how we're going to do it from now on.
Alcohol.
An ass?
No.
That's a song.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol is a song about Brad Paisley? It's some country dude that you don't like.
He does that Whiskey Lullaby, too, which is one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's a lot of good songs.
Jose Quiver, you are a friend of mine. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to go. You can find us online.
Yeah, tequilaandterror.com.
Hi, that was weird.
In stereo.
You can find us on Instagram at Tequila and Terror.
Instagram is pretty much the only one of them I will do stuff with online. That's the only one I log.
I'm on Facebook at Tequila and Terror Podcast.
Which is a waste of time, probably. I don't know. Is Facebook, how's that doing?
It's okay.
Twitter is just a cesspool still. I get on there and I see all the political stuff, and it just makes me turn it off.
So we're on Twitter as well. Tweet us and make it fun.
About. Yeah.
Send us stuff on Twitter at Tequila_Terror.
Yeah.
Email me, please. Be my friend. tequilaandterror@gmail.com. Gmail.com.
Yeah.
And
at GL Cities or something like that, probably. No, it's at Gmail.
I don't know what you just said.
Oh, yeah, you're a baby when GL Cities is around.
Okay, yeah. No, I don't know what that is.
It's like personal web pages that you can make before we had the internet.
Okay.
Kind of deal.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed
like this one, and we're going to kill at least 80% less babies every episode.
We're crossing our fingers, y'all. If you have any suggestions for us, send them our way.
But we don't want to hear any more about the other episodes.
They're terrible, we know.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Meow.